Hello, my name is Melissa D. White, coach, consultant, speaker, media personality, and community advocate. Listen, I wear many hats, but I can tell you, I could not be where I am today without having the proper training and coaching in the area of developing my career. My purpose in talking to you today is simply to share those tools that I've learned along the way, some best practices to position yourself in your personal brand and reputation in the marketplace so you can make a good first impression from your handshake to your paycheck. So lock in today, grab a notepad because we're going to go right in to how to make that good impression, not only to gain employment, but really to build better relationships and developing your career. Now, in our time together, there's three main things I want to make sure I share with you. Number one, interviewing skills. And believe it or not, it's not as easy as some people think because you have stress. You may not be sure of yourself, especially if you haven't been out there in the marketplace for a while, but don't sweat that. We're going to give you some tips to not only know the types of interviews to expect as you're preparing for your new career, but also how to nail that interview successfully. I'm also going to share with you some ways to prepare for job fairs. That can be very overwhelming. It's one thing to go into an interview. It's another when you have a large crowd to consider when making an impression where several people or even hundreds of people are trying to get at the company or to grab that one job that you're after. And then there's social media. Don't look at social media as an enemy. It's actually an asset. It could be a huge tool to help you not only in your career, but to land opportunities personally and professionally. So let's jump right into the portion of interviews. Believe it or not, there's more than one way that people and companies interview, and there's more than one type of interview. We all know an interview is where typically an HR specialist or a hiring manager would like to do some type of conversation or in-person interview about your skills and what they've researched either through your resume and oftentimes online through LinkedIn. Interviews could range from a screening interview, group interviews, behavioral, auditions, all types, but I want to touch on what to expect from each one of those. This has evolved over time. It's not traditionally what we may think of just you sitting across the desk from someone talking to them about your skills. Some may be more formal or more informal depending on the culture of the company in which you are interviewing for. Now, I'm going to quickly explain what each type of interview is. Now, a screening interview is where they may pre-screen you over the phone. This is where a hiring manager or sometimes a recruiter may ask you questions about your application or your resume as it pertains to the application that you completed. They may ask you about your work history. They may ask about your particular knowledge of a skill set, a system, some type of computer skill that you listed that you have, or they may even ask about your past work history with experiences that correlate or bridge over to the new position. A group interview can be added stress sometimes because you're not talking to one person, but it can even potentially be a panel of people. But don't sweat that. I'm going to help you understand that each one of those people that you interview in a panel or group interview has a very significant purpose. These people are your allies. They are the ones who are your future potential team members, and they are in the room to understand what you contribute to the company and what your job skills are and how it relates to them. Let me give you an example. You may have a group or panel interview if you are interviewing for a management position where you'll be working with maybe a higher level vice president or a shift manager, maybe even another department manager who you work alongside with as a team. So each one of them is looking for something specific. Now, the great thing about interviews, no matter what type that it is, you can definitely set yourself apart from any other applicant by coming prepared with your own interview questions after you do your research about not only the company, but the people or persons that are interviewing you. I'll tell you more about that in a moment. Behavioral interviews. You're probably wondering, what are they going to do? A psych evaluation? No, listen. They're very simplistic. Many companies have behavioral interviews because they consider culture and personality a big component of their success with how the team members work together. I've seen behavioral interviews be as simple as asking personality type questions, or as elaborate of having you actually do an online personality assessment. Many of these can be found for free if you just go to Google and type in personality assessments, and you may get different links to things such as a DISC assessment, DICS, which does an assessment of your personality type, or Myers-Briggs. There's hundreds of them out there, but companies and HR directors like to do this evaluation so they understand you better, and also how you may engage or interact with other team members of similar or different personality types, okay? So this is a good thing. I've personally found that these personality assessments are a great way for me to not only understand myself, but to also be able to articulate to the hiring manager what my strengths and even my weaknesses are. I know we get that question in every interview. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And no one likes to talk about the weaknesses. That is your opportunity to show honesty, transparency, and ways that you are self-aware on where you want to grow and develop. That's a good thing. So be ready for that. Interviews over lunch and dinner. Now, you're probably wondering, are they going to make me eat to see if how I handle myself? Yes. Oftentimes, companies will schedule a coffee interview, a breakfast interview, or lunch, something of that nature. And that honestly is to test your etiquette. If they are putting you in a position in front of maybe supervisors or clients, they want to know that you can handle yourself in a dining environment, how you handle yourself at a table setting in front of a meal. They even look at maybe what you order and be mindful. Hey, you don't want to order anything offensive, like maybe fish or a sloppy sandwich that's really going to interfere with you being able to have a conversation while enjoying your meal. Be mindful of that. That's a good thing. So that's your chance to show them that you can multitask, that you present well in a social setting, and that you would represent their company in a dynamic way in front of potential clients if in a social gathering, okay? Full day interviews. Yes, I've had this happen in my career before. This oftentimes may happen for customer service level jobs or even sales types of jobs where they may do a trial or test run and put you in a customer service or sales type of setting. They may want to observe your ability to handle tough situations and overcome objections or stress. They may also just want to see your dynamic among other team members and to test if it's a good fit. Oftentimes that full day interview is a second immersive interview to see how you handle yourself in their company. That's a great time to show them your stuff and what you can really do. Now, you got the interview. What do you do next? Research, research, research. The internet is an amazing thing, and we carry it around with our phones all day long, as well as our computers and tablets. Social media. If you're scrolling through your timeline or swiping through Instagram, this is your prime opportunity to look up the company. Look up hashtags for the company who you're interviewing. Look them up on LinkedIn. You can even Google the company and also the name of the hiring manager who is interviewing you. If they have emailed you and at the bottom of the email there's a signature with their name, Google them. Find out their career, maybe some highlights of notable accomplishments that you can mention for the person and for the company. See if there are any recent articles about the company in the media. That's important because not only are companies looking for you to have a good reputation, you should also want to be connected to companies with a good reputation. Do your homework because they're doing their homework on you. Verify. There's this old cliche that says trust but verify. And you best believe you can trust that a company has a good reputation, but you need to verify exactly what is said in the marketplace about them, but also verify the job and what it entails. True story, this happened to me today. I had a former colleague who I've known for over 10 years, who's also a trainer in sales and marketing in my industry. And she saw opening for a job that I formerly had 2 years ago. Small world. She did her research and she knew that, hey, Melissa used to work for that company. Let me call and find out her experience. Hey, you can go to LinkedIn and Facebook and search for friends or connections who may have worked for that company or employer and inquire about their experience. Now, although their opinions and their insight may be subjective, that's still a very good way for you to find out what their experience was like and what they have to offer in terms of feedback from an employee's point of view. Verify. Trust but verify, okay? And then the next thing you want to do to prepare for your interview is identify. This is that time where you pull out your notebook and you jot down your questions so you are ready to counter interview them. What I love in the opportunities that I've had to interview hundreds of potential employees is those that come ready with some hard-hitting questions. One of the best things I've ever seen in all of my years as a director and a trainer. I had a young lady come in for an interview and I'll never forget. She had a personal mission statement and she explained to us how her mission in life aligned with the company's mission. And she asked very specifically, what is the investment that the company makes in training their employees? She asked, what is the importance to give back to the community? And she even asked for opportunities for growth. I was blown away. This young lady was prepared and had done her homework, and she came with questions. What to know? Here's some more suggestions, and this elaborates on what I just mentioned in the previous slide. When researching a company, you want to know the company's goods and services. If you don't know what they sell and what they do, then they may think that you're not a good fit for the job. Who are their customers? So for example, if you're going to interview with a customer service company, then it's good to know what products they offer customer service for. Or if they do technical support, what is the product, and maybe do a little homework so you know and can speak intelligently about the customers that they serve. Let me give you an example. If you're going to interview with a retail company and that company sells women's apparel, it might be good to know what market they cater to. Do they cater to teenage young women? Do they cater to young professional women, or do they cater to the more mature and seasoned woman in the marketplace who's looking for career apparel? There's all types of women who could be their customer. It's good to know their customer so you can speak to that. Another really good thing to know is, where does the company stand in your industry? Meaning, there again, reputation, there's that word again. You can find that out actually by simple Google searches. LinkedIn, I keep referring to LinkedIn, and I'm gonna go deeper in that in just a moment. Excuse me, had to take a sip of water here. The other thing with LinkedIn is that it tells you how the company is ranked. It may even give you employee ratings for the company. And here are some websites that I suggest. Definitely go to the company's website. Click around, read their mission, vision, and value statement. Mission, vision, and value statement. Ask yourself, do their values align with your personal core values? Is their mission something that you would be equally passionate about? Notice I haven't talked about pay yet at all. Pay is something that you'll definitely get to, and trust me, it is important. But what's equally, if not more important, is if this is a company that you're willing to see yourself aligned with and commit yourself to work for. Like I said, LinkedIn, the Department of Labor will have very clear statistics about their employee rating, how many people work for the company, and maybe even recent transactions of the company. So the Department of Labor, you can just, again, Google that website. I think it may be, depending on what state you're in, but departmentoflabor.org or something like that. But they have great statistics and data. LexisNexis, that's a research company that gives you employee feedback. And I love, love, love Glassdoor. Glassdoor is like an online ratings website for companies. It is a website where former or current employees of a company can go online, give a star rating, and write a review, good or bad, about their employer. That is a phenomenal place to go to get candid and honest feedback about the company from the employee's perspective. Now, remember I used the terms verify and identity. Verify if you need to bring anything else to the interview with you. You want to show up prepared. Be sure to bring a professional copy of your resume. Now, yes, I know that they've seen a copy of your resume, but you want to bring an extra copy in case there is an additional person joining the interview, or maybe they have not had an opportunity to print a copy, so you want to have a fresh one on really great quality resume paper. Okay, bring pen and paper. Taking notes is a nonverbal sign to that manager that you are serious, attentive, and that you are listening and learning as you interview. Show them how serious you are by taking notes. And that's not only for interviews, that's in any setting professionally. Note takers are the leaders in the room. I stand by that, okay? Also, make sure you have the right directions. Guys, listen, I literally do this, especially if I'm going places that I've never been before, or, if the weather may be bad, I leave extra early. And sometimes even the day before, I may do a test run and drive to that property or to the office building to make sure I know that I know where I'm going. There's nothing worse than getting lost or getting delayed by traffic, construction, weather. We want to eliminate any excuses or delays the morning or day of your interview. Okay, let me also caution you, GPS doesn't always get you there. So if you have the ability to print or write down physical directions just in case you have GPS issues. You can also call the day before, speak to a receptionist or employee and confirm the address. Sometimes the company address may not be where your interview is held. They may want you to meet them at another location. So don't assume, you want to verify, okay? Then you want to identify, verify and identify. You want to identify, number one, what are your goals during the interview? Now, I know you're like, well, Melissa, I'm trying to get a job. That's my goal. But wait, no. That's not always the goal. It's not just to get a job. Why do you want this job other than money? Do you want this job for further experience in a particular skill or knowledge base? Do you want this job as leverage to grow to another level in the company or in your industry? Okay. Are your goals to gain information and insight about the people who are in the room, the supervisors in the room, right? Be very clear what answers you want to walk away with. To be quite honest with you, Sometimes you may be in a situation to take a job where you're in transition on a career move. Careers are a marathon. A job is a sprint. Careers are a marathon. They are long lasting. A job is a sprint. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. Have you ever worked a job that you knew was not the top level of where you want to be? You may have been working a job while getting your higher education, right? And you are getting your degree. You say, hey, well, when I get my degree, I will be overqualified educationally for this job. So it's a sprint. It's a short period of time. It's a layover until you get to your next career move. And that's okay. But you need to be honest with yourself. And you do this so that you're not stuck at the place where you started. Identify very quickly if this opportunity, now this may or may not be something you personally disclose during your interview, but it's something you need to be sure of within yourself as you prepare for that interview and this job or career opportunity. That was a big one for me because there have been times on my career marathon that I've had to take jobs that heighten my skill level, jobs that help position me in front of the right people for my long-term career goals that I knew were temporary. I've taken temporary jobs, consulting or part-time jobs to better position myself for the marathon. You got it? Okay. Also know what's most important to you. Is it important that you're treated fairly? Is it important to you that you have regular assessments of your performance? I'm one of those people who likes words of affirmation. So if you know you need some thank yous and encouragement from your supervisor, then you need to be very clear about that. Some people say, hey, I don't need thank yous. I need bonuses. Show me appreciation with money. That's okay. It's kind of like the book, The 5 Love Languages. And that's one of my recommendations to you. It's one of my favorite reads. They even have a career version, The 5 Languages for Your Job, The 5 Love Languages of How Employees Respond. And if you stick around, I'll include a link to that book and some other favorite tools of mine at the end of the webinar, okay? So know what's important to you. You may want to make this job a career move within that company. So make sure you ask about future opportunities. Are they growing? And are they creating new positions in your town or in another city where you want to transfer and live one day? Those are good things to know. Do they invest in your education? Do they do a tuition stipend? Or will they send you to training to better your skill set for the job? All good things to know. Now, after we verify and identify, you're ready to walk in a room and make your first impression. Now, handshakes are important. They can tell you a lot about a person's confidence, and that's really what the hiring manager wants to know. Now, as a former hiring manager, I've worked in capacities as a supervisor to interview employees on my team, and I can tell you that a strong, confident handshake tells me that you are assertive, prepared, and that you can hold your own. Now, I get it. It's expected that you may be a little nervous, okay? But it's important to have that eye contact, to have excellent appearance professionally, to make a connection. It definitely blows people away when you call them by name. So when you have the advantage of doing that research we just talked about, you can now see the pictures that, you know, of that person, maybe online, on LinkedIn or Facebook. Now, I'm not telling you to stalk them, but I'm telling you to make a genuine connection and then communicate. Say, hello, how are you? Thank you for the opportunity. I see that you've traveled quite a bit, and I'm glad you opened your schedule to meet with me today. They'll be very impressed that you made the effort to use their name, to know something directly about them, and to shake their hand in a professional way. I love this quote. Dress for the job you want, not the job you have. You know, I personally was impacted by this very early on in my property management career in sales. And I wore a suit today to work every single day. Yes, I did. And I remember this was before I was ever a manager very early in my career. And they always thought I was a manager. Customers, residents, vendors, people thought I was the manager simply because of my appearance and how I carried myself. I made sure I studied my property. I studied my company. I was a student of my customers. I knew my clients by first name. I would call them by name. And when you do things like that, you position yourself to look like the leader you are. And sometimes that may even position you to be looked upon as a leader, even if the title is not there. See, the mindset of a leader comes before the title of a leader comes. And the way you dress and the way you carry yourself with confidence, knowledge, and wisdom about the role that you're in. Okay? Now, here's another tip to you. Never, ever, ever shake hands or talk to someone sitting down. What I mean is that if they walk out to greet you and they are standing, reciprocate their posture. You want to stand up, extend your hand, and give them a firm handshake and eye contact. You don't want to be looking up at them while you're sitting down, and it's a position, it's body language. You want to stand, put yourself on a level playing field, eye to eye, and engage with them with a handshake, okay? Again, eye contact is important. Connections are important. Impression is also wrapped up in your hygiene. When you smell good, when you look good, when you feel good, then your impression is good, okay? Now, how you say it. There's a whole lot we can say without saying a word. It's called body language, right? Body language and tone of voice is 90%. 90% of what you say, okay? The words out of your mouth is only 10% of your communication. That is astounding, right? Mirror the behavior you want to see. Let me explain what I mean by that, okay? Watching the body language of someone who's interested in you, you can tell when the person interviewing you is interested by their body language. Someone who is folding their arms, if they're scrolling through their phone, if they're checking email, you don't have their full attention during that interview. And it's vice versa. If you're scrolling on your phone or if you're laid back in a chair with your arms folded, you're telling the person you are disinterested in the job and in them. So you want to mirror the behavior of an engaged person. Now, I'm going to sit up in my chair a little bit and make sure you can see me for this. You want to actually lean forward. And if you talk with your hands, because I know I talk with my hands, but you want to keep your hands at a steady pace where you're not waving your arms in their face, but just lean in a little bit, not too close, but lean in. It draws people in. You can lean forward, sit up straight. Don't sit all the way back in the chair, slouch. Just sit up straight about midway in the chair so that your posture exudes confidence. You want a parallel posture of confidence, okay? So I want you to practice in front of a mirror and not so much practice what you're going to say, but as you speak, look at yourself in the mirror at your body language when you speak. Okay, you can see in my chart here that words is a very small percentage of your communication. About 38% of that is the tone of your voice. Slow down. Don't talk too fast. I'm guilty of that when I get excited. You want to slow down. You can pause if you need to. Also be aware of your facial expressions. Smile. Where your eyes are looking, that you're not wandering all over the room, things of that nature. So body language speaks volumes. Now follow up. I tell you, follow up is one of those things that's so rare, but so necessary. Do you know, this is a sales statistic, but it's very true, that less than 5% of people follow up? Less than 5. It's a very simple act that's often overlooked, but says a whole lot. And to be honest with you, I think follow up is a really great thing, issue of character, and to show your gratitude and integrity beyond interviewing, but just in life when people do a good deed. So show your gratitude and be genuine in your follow up. Okay, this will set you apart. Hey, I think handwritten letters are golden lost art. I think if you take the time to write a letter, that means you genuinely put some thought into it, that you were intentional with your words. Emails are great, but there's nothing like a personal letter. I'm still a fan of a personal card of a personal thank you card or letter. Also, don't be afraid to ask about the next steps. Say, during or after the interview. Ask, hey, how soon rather are they looking to fill the position? Inquire of how many more interviews do they have before making a permanent hiring decision? Or even ask them what are some tips that they have of where you can do further research about the position. That would be very impressive. Okay. Also ask if it's okay to connect with them on LinkedIn and follow up. And it's okay to check in periodically. Okay, here's another follow-up tip. Here's a freebie. There's an app on my phone that I love, 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 and it's called Thank You Pro. Thank You Pro. Thank You Pro is an app where you can literally create a custom thank you card. I actually love doing this, not only for interviews, but sales situations or after I speak to a team. And I take a quick picture after the interview, maybe by their sign or their logo. And I say, thank you for the opportunity to learn more about you and your company. And the app will actually allow you to either text, email, or even print and send. Yes, print and send a custom thank you card. You will definitely stand out from the pack with that one. So I just wanted to give you one of my personal freebies. That's Thank You Pro app. Okay. Not a paid endorsement, but just one of my favorites. Okay. Job fair etiquette. Job fair etiquette. Okay. So job fairs can be very overwhelming. And I have to be honest, I'm a little bit of an introverted extrovert. So what that means is, although I'm personable, sometimes crowds can exude a lot of energy. It's a lot, right? So before the job fair, there's a few things that you can do to prepare yourself. You want to look at a list of companies that will be there so that you can be strategic in who you want to speak to, and that you don't spend too much time with the wrong companies or with just one potential employer, okay? So look at the list. Sometimes they'll even have a map of the conference center or wherever the job fair is located, and you can map out and kind of have your little strategy of who you want to hit first and what places you want to go to, etc. Target the companies you have the most interest in so you can be the first one there to get a good impression, okay? Practice your 30-second commercial. This is what some people would call an elevator pitch. Okay, you want to prepare this 30-second commercial, be straight to the point. You should be able to sum up who you are and what you do in one sentence or less. Let me give you an example. My name's Melissa D. White. I'm an activation specialist, which means that I activate people to be their best in sales, marketing, and training, and I do that through coaching and speaking. One sentence, okay? Practice being clear. What that says to people is that you are straight to the point and you know exactly who you are and what you bring to the table. Also, you only get about 3 minutes to keep people's attention and let them know that you are an interesting person to know. You don't want to linger in that explanation because you will lose them, okay? The next thing, use a question in your pitch. This is a chance for you to ask questions again in that job fair setting and be prepared. Remember, research, verify, and identify. You caught that earlier in my webinar. Okay. At the job fair, let me tell you, this is not the place you want to be late for a couple of reasons. I've been to job fairs where the parking was horrendous. Maybe there's paid parking and you're not expecting it. You want to anticipate, have cash with you just in case they don't take credit cards. Uber is a great alternative as well, so you don't have to deal with the drama or the stress of parking, okay? So arrive early to maybe get a feel for the room and walk around before speaking with your first company. So you don't want to stress yourself out unnecessarily, okay? Bring more copies of your resume than you need. Nothing worse than running out of your resumes or your business cards. Always have more than enough. Okay. Like I said, find your target companies first. Greet them with your 30-second speech. I want you to practice that speech in the mirror. Okay. Ask them how your skills fit the available positions that they have. Now, I've had this happen at job fairs where the company was one that I really, really wanted to work for, but the jobs they had available didn't fit my criteria. And sometimes it's okay to apply for those if you have transferable skills, okay? But do your homework definitely and find out if the positions are something you're interested in ahead of time. That way, because I've spent too much time talking to one or two companies, and didn't really get the opportunity to go to the bigger companies or the ones more specifically that fit what I wanted, okay? Also, be very clear of your interest and intent on working with them. Get their card and ask when would be the best time to follow up with them and the best method, okay? Not everyone likes to necessarily go back and forth via email. They may say, hey, the best method to contact me is via telephone call, or they may want you to set up a time to speak via their secretary. Ask them, hey, how do you prefer that I reach back out to you? It's totally okay to do that. Thank them for their time. Always be gracious and show your gratitude for their time. After the job fair, okay, you want to follow up with the interviewer or company as soon as possible. I told you about my thank you pro tip, okay? Here's another one. I keep blank thank you cards. I literally keep them in my briefcase. I keep them in my computer bag, and I write quick notes of thanks. The cool thing about a business card, the cards already have an address on them. So I keep those cards and stamps so that right after I meet a person, I can write a quick little note of thanks and drop it in the mail. It's easy peasy. Go to the dollar store, get you some blank thank you cards, a book of stamps, and you've already handled your first follow-up. Easy peasy. Okay, send your cover letter. Be specific on the position and intent. Yes, one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is they use a generic cover letter, or they have a very generic job statement. Talk specifically to the position that you want, because it shows them that you have researched the job and that you're not just copying and pasting the same information. Even though they kind of know you are, you don't want it to look like, hey, I'm using this same cover letter for every single job. Be specific. And in the cover letter, you can maybe even reference, hey, I met you at XYZ job fair, and we specifically spoke about your job as a sales manager. I would love to talk more and finish our conversation from the job fair. Like if you reference where you met them and maybe some talking points from the conversation, that also helps you to stand out. Okay. Here's an example. I put in there, I was the one who inquired about the new expansion project that your company was bringing to Atlanta. That would stick out to them. Okay, so you want to refer to something specifically that you discuss, so that will trigger a memory and say, oh yes, I remember her. She asked about the new company that the new expansion or the new location, something that really made it stand out and shows that you did your homework. Okay, so let's switch gears and talk about the elephant in the room, social media. Now, social media, honestly, can get you hired and it can get you fired if you use it wisely, okay? So employers do check social media accounts. I know, I've done it before. They do this not to catch you doing anything wrong, but they want to understand, would you be the type of person who would represent them well in the marketplace. They want to ensure that, hey, if you party, if you hang out, totally your business. But that's not what they want to see in the front-facing image of an employee. They love to see if you're a well-rounded person, if you have certain interests, volunteerism, organizations where you have interest and spend your time. That's a really great indicator to them that you have a balanced work personal life, but also that you represent yourself well on social media. Okay. They even check mentions of their company. Now, I'm not going to give any names, but I'm going to tell you about a very unfortunate situation I have seen of inappropriate use of social media for someone who interviewed for a job. I've personally seen situations of people interviewing and then posting about the interview or about the job prematurely, too soon. They said, hey, I rocked this interview, or I nailed this interview. That job is mine. Oh, may not be a good idea to post about it just yet, especially if they're still in the hiring process, okay? You don't want to put that information out in a way that misrepresents you or the company, okay? I typically don't post about, I'm kind of tight-lipped about those things that if I've interviewed or if I'm about to interview with someone, because again, that can come off misleading or a bit arrogant or assumptive that, hey, I got this job, this is mine. Okay, well, you want to make sure with respect to the hiring manager and any other candidates that we don't post anything about the company or the position until that is official, and even then to do so in a tasteful representation of yourself and the company, okay? Also, friend, post, and share with caution. I'm going to dig in here and show you. I'm going to actually leave my slides and actually show you a little bit of some of my pro tips for Facebook and for LinkedIn, okay? Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, all of that. Be mindful. If you got pictures of you partying with your homegirls and hanging out, if there's drinks, and just be mindful of those things. I know you're like, hey, it's my personal account, but that's where you have the opportunity to put those things either on private or delete them. It's your account, but it's public. And once it's public, it's eminent domain. It is out there for the world to see, okay? So here are a few things in your Facebook settings. You can, when you go to your Facebook account, and I'll jump out and show you and walk you through it really quickly. In your Facebook account, you can actually change your settings about what you allow to appear in your timeline. For example, sometimes I'm out in different settings and we take pictures, at a gathering or networking or party, and people try to tag you, right? I really don't like that tag thing sometimes. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. And you're like, hey, I don't want to be seen in that setting. I don't want my bosses, I'm interviewing for a job and I don't want them to see this. You have the option to request approval first before you tag, okay? You can select who is allowed to post on your timeline, who can see those posts on your timeline. And then what I love at the bottom, you have the option to turn on review. What this means is you can, before anyone is allowed to tag you or before it can appear anywhere else on Facebook, you have to approve it before it's allowed. I'm going to show you how to do that. Also, here's another screenshot of your settings. There are privacy settings. I literally have categories and groups of people that can see my posts. Some of them may be professional groups, personal groups, my family members, because as family, we may get on Facebook and Instagram and everything to stay in touch, but they may not necessarily want to see or need to see what's going on in my career or professional setting. Okay. Same with coworkers. Coworkers may not need to know that I was just at my family reunion or celebrating my birthday, whatever. They may not need to know those things. So you can actually set up if you want your post to be public, if you want to make it just for your friends, or if you want to do exceptions or exclude certain people from your post, okay? So actually what I'm going to do for the last few minutes of my webinar. Let me just jump right out here to Facebook. I'll show you better than I can tell you, okay? So this is my actual Facebook account, okay? This is my Facebook, so you'll see some of my Facebook friends on here and everything. But up here at the top, you see settings for your stories on Facebook. And then if you click this little arrow here, you go to the very bottom and you can click settings. On the left-hand menu, it shows you all of the settings for your account, okay? You have your privacy settings and your timeline and tagging. That's what the screenshots that I was showing you a moment ago. So let's look at privacy, okay? Your privacy settings, this is where you can again address who can see this. So my account is public, and I don't mind that just because I do a lot of training and speaking, and this is how people stay connected with me. But you can edit it. If you don't want your account to be public, you just click edit, and you can put that maybe you only want your friends, people you allow to be your Facebook friend, to see your post, okay? Also, you can do friends on Facebook, but exceptions. You can do that. Yes, I want my friends to see it, but there's some friends I don't want to see. And this is where you can create that group of maybe coworkers or your boss or whomever, whoever your ex, I don't know, like anybody intentionally that you don't want to see your Facebook post. Or if you, hey, I just want to post it on my timeline for a memory and I don't want to make it public yet, you have the option to do that. And if there are specific friends, it will actually give you a list and you can select, these are the friends I only want to see my Facebook post. Maybe I only want my family members, or I only want my siblings or coworkers or close girlfriends to see it. So now you know where to do that. I have a close friend who anytime she knows she's interviewing for a job, she automatically puts her account from public to private, automatic. So that she knows, because she knows, hey, hiring managers are going to look at your social media, okay? You can also limit your audience from posts that you shared in the past. Remember I said that. Now, you don't want your past to catch up with you. You don't want your social media skeletons to keep you from getting that dream job. So you can click here to limit past posts. You can see who can send you friend requests, who can see your friends list, okay? You can edit all of that here, okay? This is also a big one. Do you want search engines like Google, Bing, any one of those search engines outside of Facebook to link your profile? Yes, people can Google your name. Yes, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram appear on Google. Yes, it does. So if you don't want your information out there for the world to search, change your privacy settings. That's my pro tip for Facebook, okay? Now I'm gonna quickly transition over here. We have a few more minutes, and this is my LinkedIn profile. So professional picture here, my logo is there. You can pick something professional. Definitely advise staying away from bathroom selfies or club photos. But seriously, I mean, I know I say this jokingly, but we see this stuff as hiring managers, as professionals. And oftentimes it's just because you don't know or that you don't have a professional one. That's okay. What's really great about smartphones, I mean, in today's age, especially if you have a iPhone, there's that portrait setting, which takes beautiful pictures, or if you have a Samsung phone, they take great pictures. But hey, set it maybe a nice, chair, like maybe how I have this background here, maybe a clear wall in your house, no family photos, but something professional. Put on a nice blazer, do your makeup really pretty, but professional pictures, okay? So LinkedIn, okay, really quickly, you can see who's viewed your profile, okay? Now I've had people ask me, say, well, Melissa, I'm still at my current job and I don't want my team member or my boss to know that I'm looking. You want some, anonymity. You want to be anonymous. I get that, okay? So you can look at who has viewed your profile, I know I'm kind of showing on my social media business here, but it's to help you out. So you can see how many people have viewed your profile, a few of the people who have viewed at it. You can see what companies they work for. Look at that. You can see what companies. You can see geographically, like, oh, their titles and how they found you. Gives you a graph. This is really neat information. A lot of people kind of underrate LinkedIn. They don't give it enough credit, but this is a good way to see who is looking at you in the marketplace. Okay. The other thing I'll show you is, I'll go to my profile and show you a few pro tips really quickly. So again, professional photo, nice professional banner. If you don't have your own logo or business, but maybe even just they give you some options of stock photos, maybe a nice office or a nice scene, office or something like that is good. But complete every area. This particular portion right here is very important because this is kind of like your 30-second elevator pitch, right? Your commercial. This is equivalent. You want to be to the point about who you are, what you do. Okay. I've even seen people do amazing things, like they'll do kind of a video introduction. Like, hi, my name is Melissa D. White, and I am a coach, trainer, and consultant. You can click here and hire me. Check out the videos and samples of my work below. Yes, if you have samples of work that you've done, presentations you've done, LinkedIn has really come a long way so that you can highlight yourself in the best light here and be picked up by recruiters, okay? There's also a jobs feature here on LinkedIn where you can search for jobs by location. You can show where you are in your job search. It even gives you the option where you can be anonymous, okay? So I definitely recommend this to you. This is an excellent way for high caliber professionals and recruiters. This is where they go to really see and learn more about who you are. Here's another pro tip that I'll give you before we wrap up today. I'm gonna go back to my profile and show you. People love to hear what others say about you. So if you are leaving your job or you are currently in transition, it's totally okay to ask for recommendations. I'm going to skip down to, I think it's at the bottom here. If you go to the bottom, see skills and endorsements. Ask people, say, hey, you've worked with me before. Will you endorse me, or will you click here? People really read that and see, like, you see some of the people who have recommended me. Most people say, hey, Melissa's great for market analysis, et cetera, et cetera. And then write recommendations. You can ask former colleagues or supervisors, hey, will you write a quick recommendation for me? I'll show you what that looks like. So you can type in who you want to ask. Let's see, I don't know if it's going to cooperate here, but it'll actually ask you who in your network you want to ask, and then they can accept it and then type a recommendation that appears here, okay? And it shows you recommendations you've written for others. So I do write recommendations for others whom I've worked with and highly refer and recommend for their work and their services, okay? So very quickly, let me jump back here so we can wrap up on your job readiness training for today. All right. So just in closing here, some quick do's and don'ts. Set your privacy settings for social media. Give credit, if you are reposting information from the company or someone else, use a really great profile picture, maybe be consistent. I know I'm not good at using the same picture, but it helps for recognition. If you want to use the same photo across like all of your platforms. Also share trending content, show that you're an expert in your field, and maybe post an article and that hiring manager say, oh, they've been doing their homework. It's really impressive when they see that you read information or share information about the company or your industry, okay? Don'ts, okay? If it's something you can't say, then it's definitely something you shouldn't post. Profanity, vulgarity, an inappropriate joke or video, right? If you can't say it, if it might be questionable, if you're questioning it, then don't do it, okay? Also, again, if you don't want clients or, hiring managers to see personal content or details, don't post it. Or remember, I showed you how you can post and have only certain people see it, okay? Be mindful of pictures that could portray you in a bad light. And I kind of went over that as well about how to change your settings for past. Sorry. There we go. Okay. And also don't tag others without permission, and you can change your permission settings as well. So guys, thank you for your time. I hope this investment in training with me today will really yield results and you landing that next job. Remember, a job and a career is like a sprint versus a marathon. In whichever race you're running, I want to help you win and make it to the next level. Stay connected with me. If you want to get free tips, e-guides, resources, and maybe even connect and coach with me personally, text the word activate to 77948, 77948. You'll get a personal text from me with guides, my favorite books to read, and I always do free coaching calls. I offer a 30-minute free coaching session if you want to maybe do a practice run on your interview, or even just follow up and say, Melissa, your tips worked. I want to hear from you, okay? Also, check me out and stay in touch at theactivationhour.com and with the work I do in the nonprofit sector of activating the voices of youth and adults at rightingourwrongs.com. Email me and stay connected at melissa@theactivationhour.com. You've been phenomenal and you got this. Go get your next job, and I'll see you at the top. Bye.